Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I'm here to give you an update, if you can call it that, on the Nancy Guthrie case. This case, uh, I have no words for what is happening. This poor family, that poor woman. I mean, it's appearing that Nancy is likely not still alive. So what we're going to look at in this video, we're going to look at the latest statements from the FBI and from the sheriff's office. We're going to look at the latest appeal from Savannah, Nancy's daughter, who of course is a famous TV presenter, news anchor in America. We're going to look at, well, we're going to talk about how the deadline. So, supposedly, just to give you a recap in case you don't know what happened, Nancy Guthrie, have a look at her, is 84 years old. 84 years old. And allegedly, because we don't really know the truth of what happened yet, Nancy was snatched from her home, which is in Tucson, in Arizona, in the USA. She was supposedly, in bed in the early hours of the morning and taken. In fact, the actual expression that was used was she was ripped from her bed in the middle of the night over a week ago now. So not the Sunday just gone, but the Sunday before. So Nancy has now been missing over a week. So she was taken from her bed. There was blood found at the door, in the doorway, that was shown to be Nancy's blood. And then that was it. Disappeared into the night, into the very dark night, because the place where Nancy lived, it was quite sort of, the houses are shrouded in darkness. There's a light pollution rule there, so there's no street lights. Whoever took Nancy, you would imagine, knows the area to have the confidence and knows maybe Nancy's house, to have the confidence to go in there and take her just like that. Anyway, someone took her, or someone knows where she is. I'm going to go through the different sort of theories of what might have happened to Nancy. But the one thing that I just want to say before I start is, if I ever go missing, please don't let this sheriff's department look for me. I think they've been so incompetent. The sheriff's department, the FBI, they're like the Keystone Cops. They're just like, they have cocked up this investigation from day one. I've been trying not to sort of say it because I try and support law enforcement normally, but oh my God, what a load of bloody, they're just rubbish. They've dealt with the whole thing really badly, and so now everybody's completely confused. And I know they don't have to tell us everything. Of course, they don't have to tell us everything that's happening. But I just hope, hi YouTube love story, I just hope to God, that, I mean, that you don't get the feeling that they know what they're doing. They're just so incompetent. It feels to me like they're doing the investigation backwards. So the things that they've done over the last couple of days, like, go and forensically examine Nancy's daughter's home, because that's where she. So let's just go to what happened. So apparently, Nancy, on the Saturday before she went missing, she went round to one of her daughter's homes. Not the famous daughter, the other daughter, Annie, who lives with her husband, Tommaso. She went round to their house on the Saturday evening. She took an Uber there, apparently. That has been confirmed, and the Uber driver has been cleared. She took an Uber to Annie's house, which is just literally up the road from where she lives, and apparently spent the evening there with Annie and Tommaso playing games. Mahjong, I think, or I don't know. Anyway, then apparently Tommaso took her home to her house. Why he didn't pick her up, I don't know. Why she had to get an Uber there. But anyway, apparently Tommaso took her home and saw her into the house. She went in through the garage door, from what we can gather. Hi, Daniel. Happy Monday. Happy Monday? No, it's Tuesday today, Daniel. You're confused. Tried to confuse me. It doesn't take much. So took her into the house, and apparently, allegedly, around 2 o'clock in the morning, that's when Nancy was actually abducted from her bed. So, of course, a lot of suspicion is falling on Tommaso. Was Nancy safe when she got home? Or, did something happen to Nancy at Annie and Tommaso's house? So the forensic investigators have been out to Annie and Tommaso's house, but only just, not right from the beginning. I mean, Nancy had been missing a week before they went and examined that house, but surely that should have been the first thing that you do. That's where she was last supposedly seen alive. So, that house and Tommaso's car, and not to incriminate him, but to clear him. So you have to start inside and work out, don't you? Anyway, as I say, please, 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 if I ever go missing, don't let this incompetent police department look for me. They're just rubbish. So the sheriff was more interested in going to the Super Bowl game, wasn't he? So right in the middle of this whole case, he was at the Super Bowl game enjoying his popcorn. And, this is, as I said in a previous video, if you don't want to be inconvenienced and you can't go to your Super Bowl game, even though you might have planned it for months, don't be a sheriff. There's plenty of career paths you can take where you wouldn't be affected by events in your job. If you want to be a sheriff, which he wanted to be, he's put himself up for election, then, that there's going to be things that are going to happen that are going to interfere with your life. A big case like this, Christ's sake. There he was eating his popcorn at the Super Bowl while all this is going on. Hi, Mark. So, gosh, where do you go with this case? Because it's getting more and more crazy all the time. So there's been a couple of appeals by the family because allegedly all these ransom notes have come out. But the ransom notes straight away they were suspicious because they didn't come out for 3 days after, I think it was 3 or maybe even 4 days after Nancy disappeared. Now, if somebody kidnaps someone, they leave a ransom note immediately, either at the moment or later that day, or, nobody waits 3 days before they leave a ransom note. Other complications, of course, are that Annie is 84 years old. Why would you kidnap an 84-year-old woman? Well, they might think she's got money or the family's got money because of Savannah being famous. So, at the end of the day, political views can irritate people, can't they? It could be something to do with that. Savannah did interview all the Epstein victims. It just seems to me everything at the moment is all connected to Epstein, isn't it? Is that why Nancy was kidnapped? Is it to do with someone irritated with Savannah over that? Anyway, the first appeal by the family was the 3 siblings, wasn't it? I think think the son is called Cameron. I'm not sure. I might have to check that. But Annie, the sister, and Savannah all together holding hands, making a plea for their mum to be returned. And then the brother made an appeal, a solitary appeal. Then there was another family appeal, the three siblings together. And then this deadline all the time. Oh, and then somebody was arrested for issuing false ransom note, a separate ransom note, and then, but all the time, well, I think there's been two ransom notes that supposedly from the same person, and these could not be, what's the words I'm looking for? They weren't confirmed as legitimate, but they weren't confirmed as false either. So they had talked about this ransom notes and these very cryptic appeals that they've been making. Anyway, Savannah has made an individual appeal after the deadline passed. The problem with the deadline is the family obviously, before they paid $6 million in Bitcoin, which is what they were asked to provide, they wanted proof of life. They wanted proof that Nancy was alive, because Nancy is, as I say, 84 years old, a lot of problems with her heart, her mobility is restricted. She didn't. All her medication, etc., was still at the home. Anyway, no proof of life was provided, so the ransom was not paid, and the deadline has come and gone. I think it was 5 o'clock yesterday, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was supposed to be paid by American time. Anyway, it wasn't paid. Obviously, they're not going to pay over $6 million. $6 million they're not going to pay over without the proof that their loved one is alive, are they? So anyway, the deadline came and went, and now we've got another appeal by Savannah, which I'm going to show you now, which is very different from the other appeals. It really does sound like she believes that Nancy is deceased. I unfortunately agree. I do think that Nancy is deceased. I don't believe that it's a kidnapping. I've never believed it from the beginning. I don't know what happened to her. I don't see why someone would kidnap an 84-year-old woman unless it was a personal, the people that I've seen being interviewed that know about these kind of things say that kidnappings are normally either money orientated or revenge. That's it. There's no other reason why you would kidnap someone, really. Money or revenge. That's it. So whether it's because somebody has took umbrage to anything that Savannah has said or anything that Nancy said, because on her Facebook page she was open in her political views, and people don't like that sometimes, do they, if they're not the views that agree with them. So it's a real I'm just literally speechless, and the incompetency of the Sheriff's Office and the FBI. To me, it feels like they're doing this investigation backwards. They've only just searched the septic tank. They've only just searching Annie's house, which is where Nancy was last seen. And as I say, Tommaso may be completely innocent. Annie might be completely innocent. But these are things that need to be done to eliminate them, isn't it, from the inquiries if they're innocent, and let the police concentrate on alternative scenarios. Also, every day the police come out saying, "No, we're not doing a press conference today." This guy, he can't be asked. He should be doing a press conference every day, whether there's anything to say or not. Even if it's just to say, look, no developments. He should have a presence, because in the absence of him doing press conferences, because he can't be asked, he's probably been too busy with the Super Bowl, I don't know. He's left a void that, of course, social media and mainstream media fill high pie in the sky. So, he's left this void, and so people are talking about it. Obviously, they're talking about it, and the more mysterious it gets, and the more he's not giving anybody anything to say. They could come out and say things. Anyway, there's things they could confirm. I know they can't give the whole details of their investigation, but when the media has been there and seen them go into Annie's house and forensically examine it, taking photos, etc., and reportedly using luminol, they could come on and say that. That is something they could say. And apparently this was done with the consent of Annie and Tommaso, with the consent of the family. Why don't they come on and say that? Why do they leave people to speculate whether it was a search warrant or not? Come on and say what's happening, what you can say that's happening. Yeah, he's pretty rubbish, this sheriff, I'm afraid. Absolute rubbish. And the FBI aren't doing very well. So as I say, if I ever go missing, please don't let Steve Fisher look for me. He's much better private investigator. Have a GoFundMe and get Steve Fisher over to look for me. Anyway, right, where we go. Let's have a look at Savannah's latest appeal, and you can tell me then what you think of what you think. So this is just Samantha. So we've gone from the on screen. Take a couple of minutes to come up. Come on. So slow. You know that this is slow. So let me remove. Oh, I think I've got to remove the picture of poor Nancy. There you go. So don't forget to let me know what you think. This is the new appeal, and it is only Savannah, not the rest of the family. So it's quite different from the other appeals. And in it, she says, we are at an hour of desperation. So don't forget, the deadline has come and gone. They obviously haven't paid the money because they've had no proof of life from the kidnapper. Let's have a look what she's got to say.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly. She was taken and we don't know where. If you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation.
Okay, let's watch it again. An hour of desperation. This poor woman. I mean, just I feel for Nancy. I just the thought of getting to that age and then something's happened to her. Somebody's taken her or done something to her, whether it be nearer to home or whether it be a kidnap or whatever it is. Something's happened to her because she's not there. And I just feel in my heart that it's not a kidnap, that something bad, really bad has happened to Nancy. But then you think if it's a robbery, say it was a robbery, somebody broke in there. Nancy woke up. Apparently, though, her bedroom is upstairs, so they've had to get her downstairs. Don't forget, she's got limited mobility. That will have been such a shock for her. She's a woman with a bad heart, an elderly woman with a bad heart. Why would I still just don't see why they would have taken her? If somebody would have broken in there to rob her and she woke up and then, I don't know, an altercation happened, they wouldn't have taken her away. There's a reason why they've taken her away. They don't want evidence to be found of what's happened to her. Logic tells us that it's more likely to be somebody who knows her. Sorry, I think I might go and sneeze. I am better. My cold is a lot better, but it's still there. Must be somebody who knows her, somebody who knows the house, somebody who knows the area. I just don't believe that you're driving past an area like that and you just think, oh, let's go in that house and see who's there, or let's just kidnap this woman. It doesn't make sense, does it? Let's listen to Savannah again.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place.
Yeah, now
we believe our mom is
that's good.
Still out there.
There's a lot of references to God, and that they're a religious family. They believe in God. Nancy. So the other thing that has transpired that could have been said before, just the police have not been. It was initially thought that Nancy. The reason that Nancy was reported missing was she was supposed to go to church. She didn't turn up at church. So she was reported missing, but that's how it was noticed that she was missing. Then they said, no, Nancy never attended church in person anymore, not since COVID. She only attended virtually. And that's why she she didn't attend virtually that day, and somebody noticed that she didn't log in. Now they're saying, I mean, for God's sake, law enforcement, clear these things up, because they're just allowing rumours to go around instead of just being transparent in the things that they can be transparent in. So now they're saying, again, I don't know if this has been confirmed by law enforcement or not, that she was supposed to go to a friend's house to log in with her, that she would watch a service, and it wasn't a local service. It was a New York church, a church in New York somewhere, that every Sunday Nancy would go round to her friend's house and they would watch it virtually together. This is the new thing. What's the truth? I have no idea. Because the bloody sheriff, the Pink Panther, he's like Peter Sellers, the bungling detective, isn't he? He hasn't told us what the truth is. So everybody, just, another story's coming out. Is it true? I don't know. Well, what's the sheriff saying about it? Oh, nothing, because he hasn't done a press conference for days because he was at the Super Bowl. He should be doing at least, just a short, he doesn't even have to do a press conference. He should just be somewhere. And I don't mean issuing a statement, like a written statement. I mean, somewhere, just maybe release a video and say, look, this is what's happening at the moment. Just something. I don't know. He's not taking... He's making people feel like he's completely incompetent, and he probably is. So the new information is, Nancy apparently was supposed to go to her friend's house. How, she obviously is mobile then if she could drive to her friend's house. go to a friend's house, and they were supposed to log in and watch this church service from a church in New York together. And she did not turn up at her friend's house. And that's how the alarm was raised that she was missing. Well, pay your money, you take your choice. I have no idea which one of those is correct.
We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. If you see anything, you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation.
Think of that appeal. It seems to me that appeal. So now they're saying as well that all these ransom, the appeals that they've made before, like for the supposedly to the kidnappers, it was just a farce. It was just a put on thing. They've never believed that the kidnap letters were real. There was no communication between the family and the supposed kidnappers. All that happened was these two emails were received that they don't seem to have been able to trace where these emails came from. They don't seem to have been able to trace the Bitcoin account, but there's some speculation that it is not in the US, that it is outside of the US. The Bitcoin account that supposedly the kidnappers asked for the ransom to be put, to be deposited in. They're saying they think now it's outside the US because of the way they phrased it, something like they asked for 6 million, which is a strange amount, isn't it? 6 million US dollars. Then why say US dollars? Why not just say $6 million? Because it's obvious it'd be US dollars if you were in the US. These are the sort of speculations that are going around because people have got nothing else to say about it. So I think it's time that the police did a press conference. Yesterday everyone was focused on this deadline. The deadline is today, and everybody was sort of focused on it. And now it turns out that the police and the FBI said it was all a load of rubbish and there was never a deadline anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's like, for God's sake, get a grip on this whole thing. You need to get a grip on it. The police are rubbish in this case, in my opinion. Uh, let's just have a look if there's any other news. I don't think there is. Yeah, I'll just read this. A source close to the Guthrie family says that key details about how Nancy Guthrie was discovered missing on Sunday, the February the 1st, have been reported incorrectly. According to the source, Nancy was not scheduled to attend an in-person church service in Tucson that morning, as some reports have suggested. Instead, every Sunday since the COVID pandemic, Nancy regularly gathered with a small group of friends to watch a New York-based church service via live stream. The group would meet at one of the friends' homes and watch the service live from Savannah Guthrie's church in New York. On February the 1st, Nancy did not arrive at her friend's house as expected to watch the live stream, and concerned the friend contacted Annie, Nancy's daughter and Savannah Guthrie's sister, to report that Nancy had not shown up and could not be reached. And the source emphasized that Nancy was expected to be at her friend's home that morning, not a Tucson church, and said that the circumstances surrounding her absence have been inaccurately described in some coverage. Ah, well, they've been inaccurately described described because law enforcement haven't come out and just given details. The details that they can give. They could say how she was reported missing. What is the reason for that secrecy? I just don't understand. I understand they've got to keep quiet about about some things. You know, they can't just give away all the information about the investigation, but they're just rubbish, in my opinion. So I'm just going to check one more time to see if there's any more news, but I don't think there is. This is it. So we're like over a week on, and nothing. Nobody. This poor family. So you've got the thing is, you've got one of the family, the son-in-law, under suspicion. Is it you know is it right to be that he should be under suspicion, or is because imagine if he hasn't actually done anything, how awful that'd be, that everybody's out there saying, oh yeah, it's definitely something to do with him. But then logic tells us that he's normally the last person to see someone, isn't it? He supposedly took Nancy home that night. Did he though? So again, now the police are adamant there is no suspect. That is one thing that they are saying. They have no suspect. Oh, but let's not forget, on the Ashley Banfield show on News Nation, she actually, specifically said that he was a suspect. And when she was challenged about it, she doubled down on it. But, what I'm going to do, just to finish off, I'm going to redo the timeline, or I'm going to show you the timeline. As we know it, so far. Where are we? What? Let's see. Yeah, Tina, I agree. It doesn't feel like kidnapping this woman. People don't do a kidnap for nothing. They plan it. They try at least their best to. Quite often they do go kidnaps, but why? It just doesn't make sense. And as Judge Judy says, if something doesn't make sense, it's not true. I don't think it is true. I don't think it was a kidnapping. I don't know what it was, but it was. So let's just have a look. So the timeline. Sunday, the February the 1st, authorities were alerted. At 1:47, the doorbell camera disconnected. All right, sorry, I've missed the night before. Saturday, January the 31st, the night before, at 5 p.m., Nancy takes an Uber to her daughter Annie's home for a family dinner and game night. So that's been confirmed with the Uber driver, and the Uber driver has been exonerated. And then apparently her son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, dropped her off at 9:48 p.m. Then at 1:47 a.m. the following morning, the doorbell camera disconnected. Shortly after 2:12, the doorbell software detected motion, but no video was recorded. 16 minutes later, Nancy's pacemaker disconnected from the app on her phone, and after receiving a call from the Guthrie family discovered she was missing, and you can find on podcasts and things how dark it gets. Soon as night falls, you can't see anything around there. There are no street lights. It is pitch black. So what happened then? Monday, February the 2nd was the public plea from the Guthrie family, and authorities said they believe she was taken in the middle of the night against her will. Now, the one thing that they did do from day one is announce it was a crime scene, because there was blood, wasn't there, in the doorway. But of course, they taped it all off and declared it a crime scene. And then 2 days later, they took all the crime tape away. So all the, gonzo journalists were in there taking photos and videos. And then, so the police then had to come back and put the crime scene tape back up again. Just ridiculous. They really are incompetent. And then Savannah Guthrie issued a statement on behalf of her family, our family. I want to thank everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now, our focus remains on the safe return of our dear Nancy. Then, apparently, on the Monday evening, KOLD, a Tucson news station, received a ransom note. Authorities did not make the details public, but reports over the last week revealed it contained specific details about her home and the clothes she was wearing the night she was taken. I think this ransom note has been sent as a red herring by whoever probably murdered Nancy. I think Nancy's been murdered. And I think whoever did it has issued these kidnap notes as a distraction. That is my personal opinion. It says it demanded $4 million in Bitcoin as payment by Thursday, February the 5th, or else the demand would increase to $6 million by Monday, February the 9th. Then on Tuesday, February the 3rd, news outlets received ransom notes. Savannah asked for prayers again on Tuesday to find her mother. TMZ and another local outlet received an identical ransom note, and authorities officially acknowledged reports of the letter. But they have never confirmed that these were genuine ransom notes. They confirmed they were received. And then on the fourth day after Nancy's disappearance, Savannah and her siblings, Cameron and Annie, issued a video message. And they said, as a family, we're doing everything we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know without a doubt she's alive and you have her. We want to hear from you and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us. So there's no evidence that the kidnappers did reach out to them. They offered no proof of life. Then Donald Trump got involved and he said that he offered his administration's resources to help to bring Nancy home, which was very good of him. I spoke with Savannah Guthrie and let her know I'm directing all federal law enforcement to be at the families and local law enforcement's complete disposal immediately. This was the first request. They all spoke on that first appeal, didn't they? Then the Thursday, February the 5th deadline came and went. And the local authorities said that the blood that was found there at the house was in fact Nancy's. And the FBI arrested a man in connection with a fraudulent ransom demand. And then the FBI announced a reward of $50,000 for any information. Then Cameron Guthrie posted his video individually addressing the kidnappers, asking them to reach out and for a way of communicating with them. And then on Friday, a second ransom note was sent to a news station. And the FBI deployed digital billboards in the Southwest, including California, Arizona, and New Mexico, and went back to square one. This is what annoys me. They went back to square one. They should have started at square one, for God's sake. Oh, and remember, Donald Trump suggested that they were well on their way to solving it and they would release some things, but of course they never did. What was the other thing that I wanted to say? There was something else that came up there. Yeah, what kidnapper sends their ransom notes to media? Kidnappers like stay under the radar, keep quiet. They normally say to families, don't even tell the police, never mind tell all the media. This is a smoke screen because they wanted the attention, and I don't think if they were genuine kidnappers they would want attention. Then a second note was sent to local news station KOLD. It did not provide proof of life. It was different from the first letter, and it said the second note did not look like a ransom demand at all. There is something in that note we believe they're trying to use to make sure the investigators know it is the same person, Bobula said. It seems as they're trying to indicate that only the sender of the previous email would know this detail. Saturday, February the 7th, the Guthrie children said they will pay. They issued another video addressing the ransom. We've received your message. We understand. Remember, that was a strange one as well. Right, with her. It's the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us and we will pay. And then Sunday, the search continued. So there's been many sort of much false information that's come out about Tommaso. It's just it is. This is why people are interested in it. Not only because we all want a happy resolution. Wouldn't it be fantastic if Nancy was found safe and well? You just can't see it, though, can you? Even if she was safe and well when she first was taken, 84 years old and not got her medication. I mean, how well has she been looked after? Has something happened to her since then? Or was she dead right from that night? And what has she been hidden somewhere, her remains? Are they now looking for remains? I mean, they went there and checked the septic tank and that. They only did that yesterday or the day before. Everything they're doing backwards. So they've been pretty rubbish. It's not been dealt with in a good way, I don't think. It's a shame because I don't know what the good way would be, but I do feel that this sheriff, he hasn't got a clue what he's doing. And what he is doing is crappo. So, we haven't heard from him in a proper press conference for days. I think every day he should be doing a brief conference. Even just to... what's the word I'm looking for, to dispel the rumours that are going round, to just say, what is really happening, even if it's saying we've got no leads or to ask for the public's help. Because now she did say, didn't she, Savannah there, I'm asking for your help. The public can help. And especially with the internet community, can help with things like the Bitcoin, tracing where that is. There's people out there in the social media community who know more than the FBI about how to trace back, digital trails. There are people who are bloody brilliant. We saw that, with the case of, I don't know if you've seen the Netflix documentary Don't F with Cats. There's this horrible man that I can't even remember his name, I don't even want to know his name, was out there killing kittens live on live streams. Anyway, he ended up predictably actually killing a person. Uh, and it was the internet community that was incensed about it, probably more incensed about the cats. I mean, these were little kittens. This guy was a monster. He was killing them on live streams. Anyway, then he ended up killing a person, and it was the internet community that helped to find him. Because they were so incensed about the kittens. They set up like a team of people, because of course now in the internet you don't, you could set up a team with someone who's in a completely different country. You don't have to go around someone's house, do you, to do investigations. They set up a team of internet sleuths, and people can criticize internet sleuths as much as they want. But in this particular case, they were instrumental in catching this guy who's now in prison. Thank God. I'll do a video I wanted to do a video about him, but I just couldn't cope with the kitten thing. There's these poor little kittens. Anyway, we won't dwell on that. But this is what I mean. There's evil people out there. And the internet community can help with things like the Bitcoin stuff and, a clue. But there are out there who know how to trace Bitcoin accounts, who know more than, maybe not more than the FBI. I'm not, the FBI, obviously they've got their own people, but sometimes there's people out there that aren't in the FBI but are really good at doing that sort of thing if they put their mind to it. So, the public can help. Of course they can help. One way or another, they can help. And then look at the case of Gabby Petito. That wouldn't have been solved without social media people who happened to record Brian's van. Well, it wasn't Brian's van, was it? It was Gabby's van driving through that national park. They spotted the van. They realised it. I think it was a Florida plate on it. They were from Florida, so they slowed down as they went past it. Took a video of it because they thought, oh, if somebody's in there, we'll say howdy, because we're from the same place. Anyway, they didn't see any person. They just saw this van. And then with all the hoo-ha about Gabby Petito later on, they realised it was Gabby's van, and they went to the police, and that's how Gabby's body was found. Gabby would never have been found in that national park. The size of it, how would the police ever have found her? If it wasn't for the fact that these people, they took the video of the van and Gabby's body was found in the vicinity, because that's where Brian disposed of her. Brian Laundrie. God, that was... so there's another... I mean, there'll be loads of cases where internet sleuths, they can sniff at them all they want, but sometimes they do help. They don't always hinder. There's good and bad in everything. So you have to understand the value that people can give, as well as... everything's a yin and yang, isn't it? Everything's got a positive side and a negative side, and it's time that the police started embracing the positive sides of social media. I don't think that's going to happen with this sheriff, bloody Pink Panther guy over there in Arizona. He's like Keystone Cops. They're not going to use anything to their advantage. I just don't have any faith in him whatsoever. He's like a clown, isn't he? He's like someone who wanted to be sheriff, but now this great big case has come up. Because most sheriffs probably they could go through, especially he's probably never expected a massive case like this to come up. He wants to be sheriff because he probably likes throwing his, being the sheriff in town. Do you know what I mean? He's like deputy dog, isn't he? That's what I'm going to call him now, Deputy Doc. Yeah, that he's just like being the sheriff, but he doesn't want, but he wants to go to the Super Bowl. He doesn't want to do, when you take on a position like that comes with a big responsibility, and you've got to, he put himself forward for election. It's not like he wanted to be the sheriff. He wanted to be the sheriff, but he just doesn't want to be the sheriff, if that makes sense. Wants to be the sheriff with all the good things from it and the kudos that it gives him. But he didn't want to give up his Super Bowl match, did he? Because that's too important. Anyway, that's my opinion. Okay, listen, I will be back later on today. I've got some things I want to say about the Gus Lamont case in Australia. I've got a lot of things I want to say about a lot of cases. There's just not enough time in the day, especially since I've been ill. There's been a few times I would have liked to have come on, but I just didn't feel up to it. I tend to be freshest first thing in the morning. That's why you get these early morning lives from me. That's when things are quieter and I can concentrate on what I'm doing. But I'm hoping to be back on later and talk about Gus. There's a lot of things to talk about, but do you know what? At the moment, the case that is really fascinating us all is this of Nancy. Where is Nancy? One way or another, she needs to be brought back to her family, even if it's in the worst way. The family getting some resolution is better than never knowing what's happened to their mum, isn't it? Okay, thank you for watching. Please remember to like, please subscribe if you're not subscribed. And thank you to everyone for all the support of my channel. I'll see you soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.